We just got some more detail about what was going on behind the scenes leading up to January 6th and on January 6th between Trump and Pence. And it is worse than any of us could have imagined. From the outside, we look at it like, look, Pence is Trump's little bitch boy, and he does whatever he wants, and he's sycophantic. But really, behind the scenes, Mike Pence was struggling with all the things that Trump was leading up to. He actually had a problem with Trump sowing doubt in the election and listening to charlatans who were trying to convince Trump, no, you actually won, and we can win, and here are the court cases, and here's this, and here's that, and here's one of the arguments that was some of the evidence as to why we think you won. Pence knew it was all garbage, and so he was concerned because Trump was falling for it, effectively. There were memos, we know this now from the January 6th Commission, there were memos about how Trump could delay Biden getting inaugurated. There were memos about, like, declare martial law, say it's an emergency, seize voting machines, try a redo, literally they were writing memos about this shit. Terrifying stuff. Mike Pence had a problem with it. Mike Pence has a million problems, right? I mean, like evolution denying, credits his career to Rush Limbaugh. He was a talk radio host. He reliably wrong on every economic policy. He's got a million problems. But the fact of the matter is, he was starting to get skittish when, like, coup talk was happening. So now we know some more of what was going on behind the scenes and other conservative judges who were involved in this. Take a look at this clip.
The Senate will come to order.
Vice President Mike Pence conveyed a calm demeanor when he stood on the Senate dais, poised to certify the 2020 election win for Joe Biden. But it had been a turbulent 2 days behind the scenes, and former federal judge Michael Luttig was at the center of that storm.
I was first called by the vice president's outside counsel, Richard Cullen, on the evening of January 4th.
Cullen was calling for Luttig's help, since the former federal appeals court judge is considered one of the top minds in the conservative legal world.
Law is an institution separate and apart from politics.
Luttig learned his former law clerk, John Eastman, was advising Trump and Pence that the vice president had the authority to overturn the election results.
You can tell the vice president that I said that he has no such authority at all. And Richard said he knows that. He says, so, we need to do something publicly. Get your voice out to the country.
Judge Luttig had just opened a Twitter account, and the two men agreed a message online would be the best way to showcase Luttig's legal analysis and provide Pence with conservative cover when he acted against the president's push on January 6th.
I understood the gravity of the moment and the momentous task that I was being asked to help the vice president with.
The 67-year-old Luttig confirmed with his tech-savvy son on how to use Twitter to blast out his lengthy message.
He says, "Dad, I don't have time for this." To which I said, "You just tell me right now how to get this done or I'll cut you out of the will, okay?"
And on January 5th, Luttig tweeted his legal analysis, which Pence then cited in a letter he released, saying the Constitution does not empower the vice president to alter in any way the votes that have been cast, either by rejecting certain votes or otherwise. That position prompted Trump to go after Pence in a since-deleted tweet saying, Mike Pence didn't have the courage to do what should have been done to protect our country and our Constitution. Trump had pressured Pence multiple times, both in private and in public.
And Mike Pence is going to have to come through for us. And if he doesn't, that will be a sad day for our country.
But Pence held firm, returning to the Capitol after the hours-long siege, officially certifying the election result just before 4 a.m. on January 7th.
The votes for President of the United States are as follows. Joseph R. Biden, Jr. of the state of Delaware has received 306 votes. Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida has received 232 votes.
Pence called Luttig hours later to thank him.
Woo, baby, goddamn. So, look, Pence is a guy, the entire 4 years, he did everything Trump wanted him to do. Everything. I mean, he was as loyal gets. He stuck with Trump at the end of the campaign when Trump was caught on tape saying, I grab him by the pussy, I don't even wait. the Access Hollywood tape, that blew up in the media. People thought, like, Trump's going to step down. Like, he's not even going to go till Election Day now because it's so embarrassing. It destroys him so much that, he's probably going to step down. And there was chatter about maybe Pence might abandon him or whatever. Pence stuck with him. And Pence, like the, button-down conservative Christian guy where he literally doesn't even meet with women alone because he's that conservative and Christian. And he hears this guy saying this stuff. I'm sure he thought about, maybe I'll leave, but he stayed with him. He stayed with him every step during the administration, every policy move Trump made. He was there arguing for it relentlessly. Now, that's to his fault, too, by the way. I mean, Trump did a lot of terrible things. Nobody was speaking up behind the scenes. Remember when Trump assassinated a top Iranian commander and just acted like that wasn't an act of war and how devastating that was and how big of a crisis that was? And then there were return attacks, and Pence was right there with him every step of the way because Pence is deeply conservative in his own respect. But this was the one thing he's like, I can't do it, bro. I can't do it. Can't do that. And he held firm, and he's paying the consequences for it. I mean, Trump went after him then. He's gone after him a million times since. If/when Trump runs again, he's not going to have Pence as his VP. Pence probably feels incredibly slighted. I mean, I know Trump feels slighted, but Trump slits everybody's throat the second he gets pissed off by them, even 1%. He really had massive high turnover in his administration, which on the one hand is not a big deal because there's so many more important things to go after him for. But on the other hand, it does demonstrate that, like, second he doesn't like a single thing you do, you're done, you're out. And he prioritizes loyalty more than anything else. So now Trump was being convinced by these charlatans saying, oh, you won the election. And he was putting all the pressure on Pence, like, you don't need to accept these results of this election. You could say I won. Just say I won. Just do that. And he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it. I mean, guys, how many times do we have to go over it? The Arizona audit, which was supposed to prove Trump actually won the state, it showed Biden won by more votes than we thought he won on Election Day. There were 60 court cases. Trump lost almost every single one. I mean, clearly the guy lost the election. Clearly there's all conspiracy theory, but he probably genuinely convinced himself it's not, and he did win, and then you tried to drag Pence along, and Pence wouldn't have it. So they hate each other now, man. Behind the scenes, there is a war going on. Pence gave another speech recently to, I think, the Federalist Society, which is like elite conservatives. And he said the same thing. He's like, it is not true that I had the right to overthrow the election. So I think Pence wants to run, but he's still in the shadow of Trump. And, a lot of the MAGA base turned on him. But if Trump's not in the picture, then maybe Pence would have a chance, but he still is in the picture. Oh, baby, this is crazy. But it really goes to show you just how close we were. We already had sort of a constitutional crisis, but it could have been way worse. Way worse. If Trump had somebody like Michael Flynn as his VP, I think Flynn would have actually tried to overturn the election results. I think he would have tried that. There's probably a number of other characters, I don't know how many, maybe 5 or 6 other conservative characters, that if Trump had picked them for VP, he would have tried to stay in office, even though Biden won. And what the fuck happens then? What happens then? I don't know, but it's terrifying. So in the most narrow, limited way of all time, credit to Mike Pence here. It actually does go to show you, in some ways, I think Trump was better than a Pence presidency would have been. Trump axed TPP. There's no way Pence would have done that. Trump did the First Step Act, pardoned Alice Johnson. There's no way Pence would have done that. So in some ways, you could say he was better. But in terms of just like stability of the system and abiding by norms that should be norms, like, hey, if you lose the election, you gotta go, Pence would have been way better than Trump, clearly. If he lost, he would have done the typical, bow out with decency. But Trump was trying to hold on to power. Terrifying stuff. There was a secret war going on between Trump and Pence, and now you can see it. If you want to see me and Crystal Ball interview legends like Noam Chomsky, Cornel West, and more, subscribe to Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. $5 a month gets you the video version a day early. Remember, we take 0 ad dollars for this podcast. Or you can sign up on Substack for free and get the audio version a day later. Link in the video description box below.